So apparently my fasting is not actually helping me, because if you fast and then you're exposed to extreme cold without wearing your gloves and enough clothing, and you're just outside for hours at a time without actually being involved in some sort of extremely physical activity, then your body, I think, gets harmed in some sort of really strange way, because afterwards I ate after seeing opera outside on the river of Toledo, Ohio, in the downtown area, in what is basically a wind tunnel, because that's what the buildings become when there's high winds. Then you get really sick. But not sick, you get kind of like this weird. You get chilled, I guess, because I can still feel my legs just feeling kind of odd. Because if you're standing in the same position, more or less, and you're not really moving your legs, then your legs kind of freeze in a way, and then, like, it's not a great thing, particularly because you did a full fast. If you do a full fast for an entire day with a very, very light, like, brothy soup and a little bit of pretzels, it's not advised to then go the next day in the morning into like low 20s weather with a high wind chill to sing opera. So I don't feel sick, but I don't feel well. There's a difference between feeling exactly right and then feeling kind of wrong. And that's just like, you know what? I was outside for a good, 45 minutes or so. And it's just like I can feel my legs just like complaining, like that they're kind of frostbitten in a way, like partly. And I'm just like, you know what? I made an oath to fast on Fridays. And because it was Ash Wednesday, I was fasting. And then today, I want to do another full fast. But I wake up so early in the morning. It's just really bad. Like, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe even 4. And yesterday I woke up at 3. And I literally have 25-hour days. So this is already like, the fact that I never have a regulated sleep schedule due to the fact that my days are literally 25 hours long. I have other issues. But now my legs feel like they're kind of like frostbitten a little bit. I just wind chilled a bit. And so now I'm just like, you know what? I don't feel the way that I did last Friday when I started my fast, which was more energized. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. I have to clean this up. Look at this. And the rest of the house is just, like this too. And the thing is, I asked myself, why is that dress there? It's as though a ghost just wants to stay there and it's wearing that dress. And it's just like, it comes somehow like symbolizes that something is there. And to be sure, this is a haunted house. It ends in 666, the parcel ID. I'm pretty sure it's a haunted house because people who have come here who can actually see spirits, they act strangely. They won't say it outright, but they act strangely. Like somebody came in and said, "You need to turn on the lights." I'm just like, I like it dark. But they were freaked out. They must have seen something and believed that turning on the lights would do something. And, you know, I've had all sorts of stuff happen that is just bizarre, that indicates that there are something not very kosher and clean in this house. But at the same time, I feel like spirits are not calm because they have grievances. And if you have a rank that can address their grievances, it's typically that they will leave you alone for the most part, that they won't harangue you, but they have to recognize that you are somehow ascendant and are different from the rest of whomever comes in here. And so I feel like this may be a portal of sorts to both the underworld and the purgatory of the heavens, and rather the purgatory in the heavens and beyond. I feel like that's what it is. And that if no entity from the heavens are occupying like my brain space, then it gives way to worse spirit energies. Okay? And I wouldn't say, I mean, do people say that they're religious if they're believers in God but don't like organized religion? I guess you still would, right? So yeah, I guess I am still rather religious, but not in the organized religion sort of sense. I'm more of a universalist in terms of my religion, and I'm in the learning process, as we all should be. But I think that more ascendant souls who come here into bioengineered bodies, like myself, I feel like we have perhaps more work because our souls came here to do work. Like, we have a high rank, but we're here to do work. And so it was through serendipity that I ended up here, which really wasn't too serendipitous because it must have been some organization, because the bathroom, weird like tile thing from my old home, my childhood home, is literally in my bathroom here. Okay, so I've never really said that to anyone because the spirit said not to say it, but I think we're at the point where we required full disclosure, so this was obviously a setup of sorts. And my bathroom has that piece of wall from my childhood home, which has since been sold and rebuilt. It has that piece of thing there in nearly exact form, because there are some like splatters on the side from gross stuff. Just, we had a lot of people living in there because we had a lot of, like, you know, relatives living there. It's literally here. And I'm like, how probable is it that there is an exact same material that is here as in my childhood home, which was, and it's a bad use of this type of, you know, material, really. It's like, who would use this, you know, except for the cheapest people. And it was fine, you know, but at the same time, it is what it is that that's here. So am I to think that my handlers from my childhood, which were not good, are now here? It's the only explanation, if that's the only thing, you know, that's just how it works. And but at the same time, with all the stuff that's gone on since I've been in this house for the last 8.5 years, I feel like my thought processes are more coherent than they used to be, and perhaps less coherent in the last few months, but more coherent before that. It just depends on the highly ranked entities who, I think they know they have to drop their bodies. There are a lot of very old, like, lord level, god level entities who have to die because they have to die a physical death and move into another body. And when they move into a different body, it means that they have to become a child again. When that happens, I think that they're in some sort of portal during their judgment and during their resting in peace phase. And they're here trying to manage my case, which makes it very bizarre because then I'm literally like on a network of ghosts, like of spirits who do not have physical manifestations here. But the higher rank they are, the more physical resources they can use. And they have to have an extremely high rank to be able to use earthly resources, because that's typically not even allowed. Okay, so it's very strange, and because the thing is, like, I sing opera really, really, really bizarrely, fluently, or maybe I should say fluidly. I sing opera pretty fluidly, and I've only been learning for maybe the last 7 years, and the entire time I've been attacked by all sorts of stuff. And I think the more like deep state elements are to attack me versus like actual spirit entities. And because spirit entities cannot give you disease. Okay? And now I'm really hungry again. So I'm going to waves of like hunger, and I'm just like, you know what? I said I would not eat on Fridays because I promised a spirit who was one of those very, very old souls, actually Diogenes. Okay. Promised Diogenes I would not eat on Fridays. But I'm just getting waves of hunger, which shouldn't happen because I just really, really was put on very, very. It's just, very bad. Whatever has happened, it's just very suboptimal, we'll call it. It's not bad because I'm not dead, and I'm not maimed, and I'm not sick. That sick. So it's I would have to say it's rather that it's not optimal that this is happening. And so I'm just like thinking, you know what? There are a lot of things I don't use, and I wonder if every item I buy is a spirit I'm bringing back into this spirit portal. And it's been said, yes, that I am literally bringing more spirits back into this portal, because anything that's red tagged, anything that's coming from like a donation pile, those are all spirits that I'm bringing back to the portal because I also have a very high rank, right? And so these spirits I'm bringing back, and I need to be able to transfer them. But a lot of them will not leave because when you have people like Diogenes, various, swarm members of like Darius, Alexander the Great, his entire troop, and just very interesting people, opera singers, musicians, conductors. We have all these people like in your pod above your like, it's like in your portal. And then, then they're having a ball. Really, they are. They're having far better time than I am, and they're managing my case. And the thing is, like, I think they can only manage a certain level entities on the planet, and there are a lot of restrictions. But at the same time, you know, there's just no way of like, should be able to do anything of this sort if I had not had help from the spirit world of musicians, because I just have not taken lessons. And really, it's been that way my entire life. So is it true that it's a potential that I've just been utilizing dead people quite often? It's probably true, because if you're an entity where you have a family of many people in one, meaning, just take for instance, okay? Let's say your parents are like gods, right? It means that there's swarms of many. Okay, it's a collective conscience of many. even if they're demon gods or even demigods or really anything, they're just gigantic swarms. So they're bound to die, you know? When you have like a large membership of an sentient being, they're gonna die. And so when they die, they go into the portal and then they like, take care of me because it's really good credits for them. And then they very quickly are reborn because that's what they do in their spare time when they're resting in peace. Which means that literally they're not really resting too much in peace, but that's what I become. And so anyways, yeah, so I am managed by ghosts. And this is just another manifestation of that. Except for the fact that here, because it's Detroit, it's very creepy because the portal here is very complicated. And there are a lot of very rebellious spirits in general in Michigan, but even worse in Detroit, because they haven't been properly resting in peace, because they won't hand themselves over to the heavenly bodies. And so part of this is that I'm trying to convince them that they have an option, that once they enter the gates of heaven, if they really want to like go back to their freedom, I guess, in the non-regulated portals, like non-regulated spirit portals, right? And then they can go back. Now, if you can say, well, here's a door, you can walk through it, but you can walk right back through it. If you can convince them to trust you at that level where you're not going to fool them and that you're just really full of truth, not full of some sort of, bunk that religious institutions have because they get credits for recruitment. So this is the reason why like religious organizations are problematic. They get credits for recruiting. Okay, so in terms of numbers, if they recruit people, they get credits. And this is probably the reason why the church thinks that they're managing me and they're insisting that I'm their recruit, and I'm not. And I will never be. Because whomever is there does not close to match my rank, which is the reason why they're like pulling all this nonsense, and it's very, very annoying. And so like I just don't even want to like, deal with this because they've been excommunicated for years. And, there's no point at that point. I just have to try to ignore them while they meddle around in my life and try to get in my business while I'm trying to work on something else. It's just very annoying, okay? And I have to like figure out how to clean this up. So given that it is early March, and yet a huge ant. Look at that. Ooh. See that? How is this ant possibly here? You see? This is the stuff they freaking send me. I'm telling you, like, you know how cold it is outside? Okay? That is a bioengineered ant, okay? And it was sent from somewhere. Because think about this, okay? It is 25 degrees in Michigan right now, okay? Not even 30 degrees. Why are the ants around, and why are there gigantic ants around? Okay. So yeah, it's very annoying that they're just like anywhere from like, just harassing me to like just being like very passive aggressive about things to like surely gaslighting me and stuff and sending stupid bugs and stuff into my house. It's stuff like that. Okay, it's like, where would you find an ant when it's so freaking cold? Do you really think that ants are out and about? No, they should be burrowed somewhere and not freaking here. One freaking ant, seriously, right? And so, what I'm going to say is that, oh, and I'm finding stuff like, oh, why do I have like a Taco Bell apron and a McDonald's shirt, like a working shirt? It's like, please. Like, why did I find that in my basement? Nobody came in here for years who's from my family, and nobody works there. And it's just like, nobody should have the key here. However, they're able to like bypass my security, and it's just like, okay, well, whatever it is, somebody has the keys who shouldn't have the keys to the house. And it's stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, well, you're gonna fucking gaslight me. I will freaking. There will be freaking consequences. This is what happens, okay? When you're disturbing a very high ranked project, you run the very high risk of having it blow up in your face. Okay? That's what's happening. And so, maybe he smells the chocolate. Yeah, from where? Like, where would this gigantic ant without anybody else around be? So, yeah, yeah, there are people who are in the portals, the spirit portals, who are operations officers of the heavens, or of some other entity, of some sort of thing. And the dead spirits typically take care of my case, which would explain why the communications channels are really woeful. So what happens is, like, on the planet, not in the spirit realms, I think the people don't recognize my rank, okay, because they just won't, and they don't have any reason to. So it doesn't benefit them to. It benefits them to abuse me, which is what the heavenly portals are investigating. And I think as long as I'm not detrimentally harmed, they will just continue to allow whatever happens to happen. And it's just like, oh. They're like, oh, this is what we did. We should be able to recruit her. And it's like, you didn't train me in opera. The spirits did. Certainly the church is not doing anything for me. And it's just like, they just don't know that there's a far greater ascent, which is not going to allow them to have that credits. And in fact, they're just getting gutted right now. They've not had electricity in the sub-basements for a long time. They're still acting like they're the righteous ones, and it's just so sad. I don't even know what to say, you know? I think that, you know, they're doing good for the world, or I don't know how they convince themselves of that, but, you know, that's just what they think. That is what they think, okay? Whatever it is that they think, or whatever it is that they want to sell, whatever arguments they want to sell, whatever. I don't care. I just know that they're wrong, you know? And it's like they won't let me leave. And they're like, oh, this is church property. It's like, oh, really? Is it church property? It's like, please. You don't even have control over your portals. How can you call this your property? As far as I know, I bought this property. I have control of the portals of these spirits of mine because I have rank to govern these spirits. This is where the GQQQQ comes in. The GQQQQ is trying to help me, who is actually G18Qs, meaning 18 Qs lined up, okay, to clean up this house because the GQQQQ is recognized by the religious orders, and I'm not. But the GQQQQ knows that I have a higher rank. So they're expecting that I do whatever higher ranks do when they are helped by lower ranks. So, you know, that's just how it is. It's very annoying.